Coach, how you doing, Coach? Coach, I'll die for you, Coach. I just want you to believe in me. I just wanted you to believe in me. Let's go to the Lions.
And they basically told me if I'm there, it's a possibility they're going to take me. So I had my phone right next to me, ringer on all the way up. Kept checking it, I was nervous, but when I got that call, it was just, I don't even know how to describe it, the feeling.
The Lions take one of my favorite players in this draft class, Isaac Tesla out of Arkansas. I'm giving this an A+. Almost 6'4", 214 pounds. Ran a 4.43 at the combine.
What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon St. Brown.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live, Coach Dan, by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your host once again, Dan Thornton. Hey, want to thank you all for joining us here today. Lions Talk Live. You know what? It's a Tuesday show edition. I do believe Anthony from Roar Lions UK is going to be joining us later today. But today I want to address a topic that a lot of you guys reached out to me, messaged me about. And yeah, I want to make sure that mute button is not on. I also try to make sure that this show always doesn't have the same content you're getting everywhere else. So I did want to go with it since a number of you guys last night reached out to me about this particular topic. As you can tell from the main thumbnail for this show, Mike Valenti, whether you like him, you dislike him, whatever your opinion is on him, he does have one. Is he right? Is he wrong about Aiden Hutchinson? Aiden Hutchinson gets a lot of play in the national media, Lions media, YouTube media, all the media, about being one of the best defensive ends, pass rushers in the National Football League. Mike Valenti, as you guys know, if not, I'm going to bring you up to speed. He does not exactly care for Aiden Hutchinson. Basically, he thinks he's kind of a bust, thinks he gets overplayed, thinks that the Lions public relations department comes up with way too many over-the-top records, stats for him to try to justify the investment the Lions have made in him. We're going to talk about this during the main top of the day, but it's going to be a topic we probably need to address because is he right? Is he wrong? We're going to see and see what you guys have to say. My personal opinion, I like Aiden Hutchinson. Do I think he's Myles Garrett? No. Do I think he's one of the elite pass rushers in the NFL? I also no. But I do think he's a dang good one. And I don't think he's just good at one thing. I think he's dang good at a whole lot of things. We'll get into this a little bit more in-depthly during the main topic of the day. If Anthony joins us, we'll get his take. We'll see what your guys' takes on it. We all get it. This is the big week leading into Thanksgiving. And yes, the Green Bay Packers are coming down. We also understand that the Lions had an emergency practice walkthrough yesterday. Probably term it however you want, but they did that intentionally to try to help with some of their injured players who are making returns, coming back from concussion protocol, or just getting activated more than likely this week. We're going to dive into all this momentarily. Before we do that, though, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so, making that march for 15,700 subs. We are 25 away from that, so we can help out with that. Man, I'll owe you a big solid favor. Also, if you have a half second of time, hit the thumbs up button, the like button, hit all the buttons. We try to get every episode of the show between 200, 300, 400 or more thumbs up or likes. Last, but most certainly never least, do supports do. And you know what? It is the holiday-ish season. Are you looking for window cleaning? Your home washed, gutters clean, holiday lights hung up maybe? Visit CustomShineWindowCleaning.com or call Tom and McKenzie at 248-363-1911. They've been serving Greater Oakland County since 1997. Do phenomenal work. Go check them out. Have a conversation with them and see what all they can do for you. All right, with all that done, out of the way, we're going to start off with the main topic of the day, then get into the 5 headlines now, then talk to Anthony from Roar Lions UK if he is able to jump on today. So 1, 2, 3, let's get into the main topic of the day. If I had to ask you guys, where would you rank Aiden Hutchinson as far as defensive end in the NFL? I'm guessing if the vast majority of us, and we get it, we're Lions fans, would probably put him, I don't know, man, maybe the top 5. I would put him in the top 10, maybe the top 5. But Mike Valenti, from 97.1 the ticket, apparently has had a history of taking shots at Hutchinson. Did think the Lions should sign him to the contract they did. You can't let him walk out that door. Also says the Lions did him kind of dirty, did Aiden Hutchinson dirty, maybe the team dirty, by not having another star defensive end brought on the team. He does repeatedly say that the Lions, a lot of the stats that Hutchinson is getting this year and last year are kind of, quote, made up stats. I was talking to my brother Tim about it yesterday, and everybody can have a different opinion on it. My personal opinion, there's no such thing as a made-up stat. Do you hit the quarterback? Do you sack the quarterback? Do you bat a pass? Do you pick a pass? These things aren't made up. Valenti's take is it takes way too long for Aiden Hutchinson to get to the quarterback. I think we all agree that Aiden Hutchinson didn't have his greatest game against the New York Giants, but was some of that schematic? Was some of that both the Lions, how they wanted to play Jameis Winston, and how the Giants were defending the Lions pass rush? We all get it. The Lions pass rush was basically non-existent until the game was on the line, and guess what? Hutchinson found a way to get there. If you guys didn't see it, I don't know the name of the tackles for the New York Football Giants, but they both did talk to reporters after the game and said, man, we locked that guy up in it. I'm paraphrasing when I say this here. He ain't nothing. He got one play on us all game, and yes, it was at the end of the game. Everybody gets it. So I get their perspective, the offensive line for the Giants, that, you know what, hey, you're a proud player. You're a proud athlete. You want to own what you did, and they did a pretty good job against Hutch. Hutchinson, though, when the game was on the line, he did get to Winston. And you know what? He sealed the game. You can't take that away from him. You can't take that stat away from him. Yes, as the Lions PR department did state, he did set a record for 6 hits on the quarterback. You can have your own opinion in any way, shape, or form. My opinion is with the story, Mike Valenti of 97.1 the ticket just simply wants something to talk about that he knows is going to hit the burner button, the inflamed fans button. Where would you rank Hutchinson? I think when we get to the comment section, we'll see what you guys have to say. But I do think Aiden Hutchinson is an elite defensive end. Maybe not the greatest pass rusher in the league, but let me ask you guys this. If you had to go by run defense, pass defense, able to drop into coverage, able to switch multiple spots on the line, play either end, let me rephrase that, play even some linebacker at times while getting to the quarterback, while shutting down the run, etc. Where would you put Aiden? My opinion does not need to be your opinion, but I'd say he's on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being high. He's like an 8.5 to a 9 on all those metrics, and that's the beauty of Aiden Hutchinson. He's just dang good at everything. Maybe not elite at everything, but he's dang good at everything. Valenti's take on him, I know it inflames a lot of people, and he repeats it often on his show. A lot of you guys send it over to me. And again, trying to find something to talk about that isn't just Green Bay versus Detroit. We're going to get a ton of that in the next 72 hours, so I'm trying to find some different stuff for you guys. With that being said, I do think Mike Valenti, he is somebody that in media is always looking to push the buttons, much like a Stephen A. Smith. He's actually making takes intentional that he knows is going to inflame the fan base. Hutchinson, I get it. He didn't have the greatest game. I get he got a sack. I get he got a ton of hits on Jameis Winston. I get he shut down the run. I'm not just sure what else you need him to do other than can he have 2 sacks? Can he have 3 sacks? How much of it is, though, that the New York Football Giants fairly frequently had 2 to 3 guys block him? Yes, typically, when you go back and watch the film, the third guy is like a running back or a tight end who chip blocks and then releases. It's still a hit on somebody trying to slow him down. Aiden Hutchinson, we talked about it yesterday's show, even talked about it, I believe, in the post-game show Sunday. He's going to be pretty sore today, and probably yesterday he was very sore because he did put his body through the grinder just doing what he could during that game. All right, with all that done, said, out of the way, let's get on over to the 5 headlines now. Dive into a number of different topics before we get into Anthony from Roar Lions UK. 1, 2, 3, 5 headlines now. All right, we got some pops up, some part of the 5 headlines now. Want to get this to you guys. Hey, let's talk about the fact that the Lions may just have, and yes, I could have clipped this a little bit better, the best running back in the NFL. Detroit's dual threat. He had, 15 rush attempts, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, 11 receptions, 45 yards, and 1 touchdown. Gibbs, my opinion, these stats don't lie, man. If he's not the best running back in the NFL, he is amongst them. Updated schedule for all three of the big heavyweight runners in the NFC North. We do talk about this from time to time. You guys get it. Let's just look at the Lions selfishly. They can kind of control their own fate from here. You got the big game Thursday, and both teams are taking it serious. No doubt about it. Everybody knows what's on the line. If you're Green Bay, you lose this game, man, you are in a bit of a struggle because what it comes down to your opinion on Chicago. That after you play Detroit, you are going to face the Bears 2 out of the next 3 weeks, and sandwiched in between there, as you can see, are the Denver Broncos, who are no joke. What's going to happen with the Baltimore Ravens? Man, that's as good a question as any in the NFL. The Ravens, they either look good or they look bad. There really doesn't seem to be an in-between. We can all probably agree Green Bay is going to have the easiest game to end the regular season. And when they face the Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, that offense, just at least as of right now, isn't going anywhere fast. So that might be a good one for them to end the season. You got, obviously, the Chicago Bears. Man, they are going through the gauntlet these final games. Philadelphia coming off a loss. I'm guessing, since it's at Philly, boy, the Bears are going to really struggle to win that one. I get they've won games. I also get they found ways to win a ton of close games. Now, you could say the Bears are the complete opposite of the New York Giants. Look at the Giants' schedule, especially like the last 5 weeks. Did you know the New York Giants in the last 5 weeks have faced teams that are 2 games over 500, and in each of those games, they had a 10-point fourth-quarter lead, and as we all probably aware, guess what they did with all 5 of those games with 10-point leads? They lost. The Giants could just as easily be a division winner or in the playoff hunt if they could just simply close out games, and I get there's a large percentage of you guys that say, man, the Giants are nothing, they only have 2 wins. Man, they could just as easily have 8 wins at this point, but you know what? They don't. All right, so after the Bears leave the Eagles, they got Green Bay twice. In between that, they got the Cleveland Browns, and that defense, we all know, is no joke. 49ers and Lions will go from there. All right, some other news for you guys and pop-ups, and sorry I can't make this bigger for you, but Lions IR Pub NFL update, update. Frazier and Pascal windows close this week, so expect both to be activated to the 53-man roster. This is something probably not going to be a big surprise for a whole lot of people, but hey, I think it's good news to have both those guys officially back this week. Davenport on day 13 of his window could play this week. If not, he's probably got the following week against the Cowboys because you know what? He's got basically, 8 days left. Zach Cunningham is now eligible for return. Zylstra, Manu, eligible to return for multiple weeks now. The big question on that one, I don't think Zane Zylstra is going to come back unless they absolutely need another tight end because you would have to use one of your IR designation returns on him, and I just don't think he has that kind of value to the team. Manu, on the other hand, the longer you keep him out, the less work you get with him. It'll be interesting to see what the coaching staff chooses to do. Mahogany is eligible to come back next week, but he's I guess without an official update from somebody who's actually looked at that ankle lower leg. If you don't know, he broke it. I don't know what type of break to that ankle and leg. Is it possible he could already be healed up after 4 weeks? It is, but my guess is you're probably looking at middle of December for him to return. Broken bones typically take 4 to 6, maybe 7 weeks to return. So I'm Scooby doing the math in my head. You're probably looking at middle of December-ish. All right, and then, hey, before we get into this in the 5 headlines now, no, I can't make this larger. Sorry for that, but here is your first injury report for the Green Bay Packers and Detroit Lions. If you want to take a screenshot and enlarge it, you can. But as you can quickly see and identify, both teams have got a multitude of injuries. All right, with all that, let's get into the headlines now. 6 winners, 3 losers from Lions win over the Giants. Detroit have a sneaky shutdown cornerback on the roster. A to Z Sports, Mike Payton. Man, you're not wrong when he goes into it. Big Mikey Payton, let's talk about it. Winners, no surprise here. Roy Lopez. Kid has been playing out of his mind in recent games. Why is that? We talked about it during the live cast of the Giants. One of the reasons why I thought the Giants were a big threat to Detroit, you got nothing to lose, man. You got a veteran quarterback who's got a big gun, and you know what? He's seen almost every defense he can throw out there. Now you throw in a few gimmick plays, trick plays with them. You think about if they don't have those 2 touchdowns in the trick plays, the Lions probably win that game comfortably. But you know what? When you got nothing to lose, you can roll the dice a whole lot. And you know what? The Giants, you guys know it. They have like 23 pending free agents on that. What is Roy Lopez? He's a pending free agent. He's going to boss up and ball out. Shout out to Kurt Steele. Probably the rest of the season because he understands he's got a sprint to get a new contract next year. He's got not a marathon. He's got a sprint at this point. He's got X amount of games to throw everything and his body at it to try to secure some stats, some video, some tape for his agent to use to secure a new contract somewhere. Gibbs, also a winner. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a winner. No surprise there. He did have the 2 drops. One of them was, led to an interception. But outside of that, man, could you ask for much more than 9 receptions, 150 yards? Yes, I'm rounding up. And a score. Hey, maybe he's closer to being Amon-Ra St. Brown than we realize. Lopez, we get it. Probably anybody watching this show gets it. He just stuffed the run, got after the quarterback, did a lot of good stuff. Thomas Harper, also a kind of a steal for this representation of the roster and the coaching staff. He was left for dead on just multiple different areas. The Lions were able to secure him, bring him in, didn't cost draft picks, didn't have to give him a big contract. But you know what he's been doing while filling in for Kirby Joseph? He's been making plays. And I do think whether he's with Detroit next year or somewhere else, I think somebody is going to come up and try to take him because you know what? He's been playing pretty dang well. Jake Bates, no doubt about this one. He is a winner for you because that 59-yard field goal, man, that thing was just a boomerang shot. But you know what? It went in. That's all you need. Rocky Singh, this is probably the biggest surprise on the list for the season. We all knew he could play to some degree. He's got versatility playing corner and safety. But you know what he's become the last 3 weeks? He's become one of the NFL's elite graded cornerbacks. Let that sink in. Against, you guys all know it, against the Philadelphia Eagles, he was locked down against A.J. Brown. He was locked down to a big degree against the Giants. Yes, he got called for 1 PI, but you know what? If you're going to play sticky man coverage, hands are going to, move around. A lot of the PI calls just come down to interpretation or personal viewpoint of the official. I could say this. I would be very okay with the Lions re-signing him and keep him in there. He defends the run. He defends the pass. He plays multiple positions, cornerback, safety, etc. There ain't many downsides to that kid. Losers to Meek Robertson. He was targeted 12 times, allowed 8 catches for 115 yards. It was not his best game. Brian Branch had to stop. He has to stop with getting flagged for personal fouls, etc. Giving up yards ain't. You're going to do it during any game, any defense, but you don't want to give extra yards. So it wasn't his best game out there. And then the other loser, Yodi, I think everybody out there gets it. He did not have a great game. That first half was brutal, and it really shut down the Lions' offense. His lack of ability to go one-on-one with anybody on the defensive line for the Giants. Where do they go forward from here? I think he had a pretty good second half, but if you watch the tape, the Lions also chipped in more. They gave him more help. If Frazier, I know a bunch of you guys are going to ask this in the comment section, if Frazier really is the answer, then great. We'll see what happens. But he is a rookie. He's only been back on an NFL roster, practicing, etc. for about 2 weeks. If he is the guy, though, that we saw in college, maybe he can provide a little bit more depth or versatility to the Lions offensive line. We'll have to wait and see what shakes out. All right, welcome to the Detroit Lions' biggest and most important week of the season, ESPN. Not going to spend a ton of time on this one because we all get it by now. You win this game this week against the Packers. You now have evened out the head-to-head series for the season. You have now supplanted them in the standings. You're going to have one more win than they have. And you know what? You've put yourself back in the playoffs and, yes, to an ability to challenge for the NFC North and potentially at least have one home playoff game. Wait and see how it goes. I do think the Lions match up very well. Yes, week 1 did not go well. We talked about it during that game and then the post-game show. I really thought the Lions were in that game. And yes, maybe that's coach talk for me, but I always say this. Games that are that close, and I do think that game is that close, come down to 8 to 12 plays. Think about 4 plays. that, Alex Anzalone nearly had a pick, and I want to say Brian Branch did have a pick, but there was a holding by somebody else in play. If Brian Branch's pick ends up being that score that it was in that game, the pick 6, how different does that game go? Do the Lions actually pull off the win? Anzalone holds on to that pick. And we're just talking about 2 plays there. Now, if you can clean up 6 other plays, 10 other plays, the ball bounces your way, the Lions could have easily won that week 1 game as poorly as they played. But I do think you can say that about each of the Lions' losses this year. We're going to all be watching and paying attention at 1 o'clock Thursday Eastern Standard Time to this game. The Lions are at home. They're going to have a big rowdy crowd. They're going to have every advantage going their way. The fact that it's home, Packers got to travel, yada, yada, yada. See where it goes. All right, next to the 5 headlines now. Lions Terrion Arnold could return for Packers game, according to Dan Campbell. Clutch points with this one. T.A. being back. Yes, he's been out a little bit of time, not that long. DJ Reed, I know a bunch of you guys reached out and said, man, he looked terrible. He's been gone for 2 months. That's his first live action. I didn't think he played terrible. I thought he played average. But you know what? He should play much better this week because, he's shaking off some of the rust. Same with T.A. What would you do if you're the Lions coaching staff, though, with all these guys coming back? We just talked about Rocky Singh playing basically the last 2 to 3 games, fairly elite cornerback play by today's NFL standards, because, again, you guys know it, none of the rules favor you whatsoever. What would you do if it was me? Man, I'm not taking Rocky Singh out of the lineup. No chance in heck. DJ Reed, I'm leaving you in. Terrion Arnold, you're probably in. You also get a lot bigger at the cornerback spot and more physical against the run. In my opinion, the Packers going to have to run the ball fairly effectively against Detroit. And I think that's a tough ask with the defensive front, plus the cornerback spots, plus the safeties, plus the linebackers. So you're going to be trying to make them one-dimensional. They do have some good receivers. I don't think they have an elite receiver, but if I can get bigger, more athletic, and faster, you know what? I'm going to do just that. Let me know what you guys would do, though. All right, let's see. Detroit Lions playoff picture after week 12. Kind of already went through this one. I'm just, not going to dive into it too much. This is from the Detroit News. You guys get it, man. You got to sprint here to the end zone, to the goal line, whatever you want to say. And you know what? Lions can handle their own business. You've got, as you can see, you win these next 2 home games. That's a big plus because you also beat up 2 guys or 2 teams you're playing against for playoff positioning. Rams, the one thing I really like about this away game is after the Cowboys, you have 10 days to prep, 10 days to rest, get healthy, yada, yada. The Pittsburgh Steelers, I think you match up incredibly well with them. I think you should win that one fairly comfortably. Then you got the Vikings. I don't know what they're going to be doing at that point. They may have just phoned it in by that point in the season. We'll have to wait and see. And then the Chicago Bears for all the world. We'll just have to wait and see what shakes out with that one. All right, last one, Lions versus Packers, initial injury report and medical analysis. USA Today, story by Jimmy Lotto, Lions Wire, etc. So I'll spend a little bit of time going through that. I'm not going to pull the graphic back up. Packers, key players to watch per the medical report. Josh Jacob, running back, missed last game with a knee contusion, possible PCL. If it's a PCL for a running back, he ain't playing this game. We'll have to see what they can do to duct tape him. Yeah, I don't know, maybe flex seal that knee. They got to do something. But if you can't cut, north to south, east to west, whatever you want to say as a running back, you can't play. That knee will give out and he'll end up fumbling the ball. I don't want anybody to be hurt in life. I don't want to beat a team just because they have people out. But thinking about selfishly, Josh Jacobs is a human being. I hope they don't just give him a bunch of needles and shoot him up with stuff saying, hey, you got to win this game, because that's going to tear up that knee and maybe tear up his career. Nixon, one of their better cornerbacks. He left the last game with a stinger. Let's see, Jalen Reed, wide receiver, has been out since week 2 with a clavicle fracture and Jones fracture, but could return this week. We'll have to wait and see. If he does return, you get it. He's probably going to have to shake out some rust. Jordan Love, the quarterback, you guys don't know, has a left AC joint injury and from a couple weeks ago, but should be overall fine. Is his mobility going to be impacted? I doubt it at this point, but pay attention to it if it flares back up. Lions starters out. You guys get it. Chris Mahogany, Kirby Joseph, Sam Laporta. Khalif Raymond did not practice in the walkthrough yesterday with an ankle. We'll have to see if he's able to go. Neither did Brock Wright. He did, if you guys remember, when he got, I think it was his first reception, he got kind of upended, landed on his head. I figured he'd be feeling that one. We'll have to wait and see. Graham Glasgow, left knee starter. He's been dealing with this all year. We can have our opinions on Graham Glasgow. Maybe he's not the greatest center in the world. Maybe the Lions should get somebody else. One thing I will say in his defense, the dude's a warrior. Last year or this year, he's playing through pain constantly. Let that sink in. Remember the playoff game last year? I can't remember which one of our guards went out. I think, oh boy, was it Zettler? Yeah, Zettler. He went out, and Graham Glasgow should have left the game because he basically blew out one of his knees. But he said, you know what? There's nobody left on the bench, coach. I'll stay in and give you all I got. And you guys remember, he did what he could, but he was the only guy left really for the Lions and the offensive line, at least in their opinion. Kirby Joseph, no surprise here. Concerns over his left knee PCL, same knee that's been bothering him since preseason. Terrion Arnold, we already mentioned this, coming back from concussion protocol seems inevitable at this point. Brian Branch, maybe part of the reason why he didn't play great last game. He's dealing with turf toe and an ankle injury. Taylor Decker, right shoulder, but I actually thought he played his best game of the season. Tate Ratledge, another offensive lineman with a knee injury. I also thought he played really well, especially in the run blocking assignments. He was mauling some dudes out there. Jacob Saylor's back shoulder. You guys get it. He's not 100%, but I don't know how much that's going to impact us one way or the other. Panay Sewell, he's also been dealing with basically a high ankle sprain. Let that sit in with you guys. He played perhaps his best game in the season too last week, and he's doing it on one leg, more or less. Isaac Tesla, the oblique injury seems to be going away. Sion Vaki, ankle, but he does seem to be getting better. Full practice yesterday in a walkthrough was Marcus Davenport, the edge with that right shoulder. Pec injury seems to be doing okay. Full practice, Miles Frazier. Knee recovery seems to be okay. And that's probably good news for us. Josh Pascal back, yada, yada. You guys get it. All right, so there we go. Let's get to you guys for a few minutes. And again, I don't know if Anthony's joining us today or not. We'll see if he shows up. He hasn't sent me a message one way or the other, but we'll wait and see. Let me scroll to the top of the screen as I try to get through these comments before he joins us. If not, then we'll just try to get through all the comments, and I'll try to go auctioneer with the comment section. All right, Michael, greetings, salutations, Coach Dan and Duke Crew, exclamation point, one pride, woo, back at you, Bo Booth. Good morning, Duke Crew, over the top, exclamation point, woo, probably is over the top. Trey, what's good, everybody? Hutch is a dog, don't care what anybody else says. Yeah, I mean, I get maybe there's some people that are a little bit better with this or that in their skill base than him. He's just dang good at everything. And why anybody would go after him, and I don't know. Johnny, good morning, folks. Back at you. Let's see, Johnny. Valenti gets on my nerves. He does, man. He does. I understand that. A lot of people kind of say the same thing. Just greetings, salutations, Duke Crew. Aiden is the top defensive lineman we have by far. I would agree with that. No questions asked. Is he the best in the NFL? Question mark. I don't believe so, but he's a top 10 player at his position. Yeah, probably well said, man. Attila the Hun. So glad the Lions had a, quote, emergency practice yesterday so Terrion Arnold could complete a step necessary for the concussion protocol so he can play on Thursday against the Packers. Exclamation point. Smart by MCDC. Yeah, very smart move. For those who don't know, we talked about it during the breaking news yesterday when we first got word about it, and shout out to Hutch Jr. for getting that over to me. I mean, that dude puts in a lot of work behind the scenes. You guys don't even know. At any rate, though, every coaching staff's looking for advantage, but they go in and walk through practice, whatever, the day after a game, especially less than 24 hours later. It just never happens in the NFL, NCAA, NAIA, NJCAA, or high school. Nobody does it. And the Lions did it. It probably caught a bunch of people off guard with it. And kudos to them. Whether it was just to get TA back, probably to a certain degree, but also just taking another advantage on a short week to get ready for the Packers. Drake, so we had a surprise practice yesterday. It sounds like I agree with you, Attila Hunt. The staff planned that out well. Smart moves. I'll agree with that. City Madley, good morning, Coach Dan and the Duke Crew team. Great team. Thank you for your hard work. Anytime, my friend. Hopefully you're having a great afternoon in Cairo. Till Valenti always likes to start stuff. Typical New York sports radio, but in Detroit. Yeah, and I don't know this, but I think he actually lives in New York, but, just takes a commuter flight over and then comes here and stays in Detroit like 4 or 5 days a week. I don't know that, but I think that's right. Good morning, Jess, Johnny L, Attila, Drake, Madley. I like Valenti, but I don't think he tries to go overboard with the stakes for ratings. Yeah, he's a shock jock. I get it, man. Johnny L., I like Valenti, but sometimes he came across like a offspring of Joe Biden. Okay, Henry Moore. Good morning, Coach Dan and the Duke Crew. What a team. What a podcast. Exclamation point. What a time. Be a Lions fan. Woo! And good to see you, Henry, as always. Johnny, good morning, Henry. Big Eddie. So what's up with the emergency in practice? Now you know. Was that just to help TA get back for Thursday? I think, yeah, probably had a lot to do with it. Johnny O, yes, Big Eddie. Henry Moore, good morning, Johnny O. A glorious day to you, my friend. Henry Moore, good afternoon, Mr. Modley, excuse me, I can't even tell. Hassanin, how about that? All right, let's go over. I see he's standing on deck. He's warming up. He's ready to knock the ball out the park. Let's go over to our special guest of the day, Anthony from Roar the Lions, UK. And who's ready for a big matchup this week? That would be you, hopefully.
Me, absolutely me. You love playing the Packers. They're the ones you want to beat. You know, they're the ones for years who've been a pain in your neck. So, and we owe them after the first day of the season. We need to quieten their fans down a little bit. And, you know, coming off a win is a win. We'll take a win. So let's go stack another real quick. And all of a sudden, the season's not looking so bad if you stack up another one quickly on Thursday.
I want to get your take on a couple of things, Anthony. When you look at that Giants game, were you disappointed that it was that close? Do you think the Giants are a better team than people, realized? Should we just look at the record and say, man, they only won 2 games, we should have blown them out? Where are you with assessing that game?
The Giants were a much better, as we said this ourselves, the Giants are not a 2-9 team. They are much better than a 2-9 team. The way they played the Packers was tough. It was physical. They've got this ground and pound run game that it's not flashy, but it gets 3 yards, 4 yards, puts them in third and manageables. And then they've got a whole variety of packages to hit you with the short passing game, which they did with us, which infuriates me. You leak Tyrone Tracy out the backfield when you're trying to blitz on the quarterback. He gashes you for big yardage. The Packers did it. I'm surprised we didn't learn against it. But because you've just got that ground game that keeps getting those yards, it forces you to go looking for the quarterback. It forces you to be aggressive, which means New York can take some shots on you. And this is a team working without QB1, running back 1, wide receiver 1. It reminds me very much of the Lions in 2021. They have talent on there. They have a hell of a lot of heart and grit. They just don't know how to win games of football right now, which was to our benefit. But that defense plays really well. It's got a great defensive line, which kind of holds the whole thing up. And, I knew we were going to be in for a tough game. I think I even said for my prediction we were going to win with like the last kick of the game or something like that. So I was expecting a tough one. And there was a lot not to like in there, and people can bitch and moan and stuff like that. But the thing is, you've erased a double-digit deficit in the fourth quarter. Doesn't matter who you're playing. Those games don't happen very often in the NFL, and it just shows that your team is doing well, and then they make the clutch play they need to in overtime. Like, it's not pretty, but a win is a win. We don't care about the regular season. Regular season doesn't mean nothing during a year. People will forget this game if you go on a playoff run. It just matters that you get the dub. I thought the Giants were very impressive, and I think they're going in a good direction if they get the hire right. But I thought we showed a lot of resilience as well, and that is to be commended. Even though there is a lot to work on, I'm not saying there isn't, but a win is a win in the NFL, and we'll take them every day of the week.
Yeah, in my opinion, some will disagree with it. I think too many fans look at records and say, well, they only have this amount of wins, we should crush them. The problem is, look at the Giants schedule, and there's tons of other teams you could do this with. They play everybody tough. The fact that they've beaten Philadelphia, they've beaten Buffalo, they really should have beat about 5 to 6 other teams on their schedule. They just can't close them out. All right, enough of the G-men. Let's talk about our guys. Aiden Hutchinson, a subject of a radio host's opinion, I guess you could say. Where would you assess Aiden Hutchinson is across the NFL landscape of defensive ends? Is he good? Is he great? Is he elite? Is he a bum, Mick?
I think Aiden Hutchinson is an incredibly good player. I don't think that can be denied. It's funny to me, this whole conversation is focusing around Hutch, and I get it. He's the star player, he's the one who should be making the big plays, but everyone wants 2-3 sacks a week out of these guys. It's just unrealistic. It's not going to happen. And your opponent's going to do everything they can to stop them, which is not easy as well. But, the great players, even when they have bad games, are still capable of making that play to go out there. And I don't even think he had a bad game against the Giants. I thought he did well in the circumstances. But even if so, let's just say he had an average game for what Aiden Hutch is worth. It gets to overtime. He makes the play that wins at you. That's why you pay him the big bucks. That's why you do what you do to win games and seal ones out. And, I think in the circumstances, he's doing very well. This particular radio host you're on about, look, everyone is entitled to their opinions. I respect other people's opinions. I also understand the game as well, what the racket that we're in, podcasting, social media, all this sort of stuff. There are certain people out there who like to be first on things, as we quote unquote say. The big thing everyone wants to be first on at the minute. Who was the first one who predicted that this player is going to be a bust? That player is going to be a bust. That's why you'll see certain channels out there after 3 games saying this rookie's done. So that in 2 years, if the rookie isn't done, they can go back 2 years and go, oh, look, everyone, 2 years. I told you after 3 games, I was right first. Right. There's this game out there where people like to do that. And it's the same with Brad Holmes. People want to be the first to say, I told you Brad was bad, told you Brad wasn't going to do nothing for us. And this particular radio host happens to be in that certain demographic. He likes to put things out there which are not true first so that he can go back and say, told you so, tune into my show and listen. It's clickbait. It's always what it's been about. And, everybody's focused on Hutch, right, and what he's doing. Where's the critique for the rest of the defensive line who are doing nothing? Al-Qadim Mohammed has basically gone missing this last month. Derek Barnes has played his worst month of football in some time. The defensive tackles couldn't get a sack if they tried between the pair of them. And because we've got no one at edge, we're moving Aleem McNeil out to edge, which is just stupid. He's 320 pounds and he's 6'2". He's on the inside. That's where he does his best work. We're taking our best DT out because we've got no one on the edge, and the rest of the DTs can't get a sack if they tried. Where's their criticism? Why is no one having a go at Reader, Williams? Why is no one having a go at AQM against Barnes? No one is providing any sort of help for Hutch. Even Myles Garrett, the Browns invested a first-round pick in Mason Graham this year. Mason Graham is terrific, and he has given them a whole new burst of juice through that interior, which is helping Myles Garrett play. TJ Watt has always had help with the Steelers, and, which allows him to play his best football. The only one who's sort of a unicorn here is Max Crosby, who just does it regardless. But Max Crosbys are just rare. They're incredibly rare, and you just don't get them. I don't know where the criticism for the rest of these guys is. Why are we focusing on the star? The star needs help from time to time, and he's just not getting any whatsoever. And in spite of the fact he's getting absolutely no help whatsoever, he's still producing. So I think Hutch is doing the best he can with the situation he's being given. There ain't nobody there for him. And what have we got to come back? Sick note junior and a 6th-round rookie who everyone's just putting the whole world's hopes on. We've got nothing coming back either, which is going to help us. So we're just going to have to accept this is the way it is. And Hutch will have to do the best job he can with the resources that he's got to help him with.
So why do you think Brad Holmes hasn't invested more into it? Is it just they believe Davenport's going to be the answer? Do you just think that Brad Holmes loves his picks? Why is it the Lions haven't provided a Robin to Batman, I guess you could say, because I think we all agree Hutch is pretty good. I think we all probably would also agree, man, even Michael Jordan couldn't do it all on his own. He needed some help around him. Why hasn't Brad Holmes tried to provide that person?
This is, and for me, I love what Brad does in the draft. Brad is one of the best drafters in the league. I think the one philosophical flaw he has when it comes to drafting is when it comes to defensive linemen, they are solely focused on the run game. That's all they focus on. They want a big 270, 280-pound edge who's 6'5", 6'6", who's chunky, who can crush the can per se, but he can't rush the passer. When they look at their defensive tackles, they want these big athletic guys who can make plays against the run and can plug the run, but can't rush the passer. DJ Reed has never been a pass rusher. Tyleik Williams has never been a pass rusher. Roy Lopez has never been a pass rusher. And you look at who we've brought in. Davenport is just crocked continually all the time and is injured. Pascal, never really been a pass rusher. It's getting guys, he wants to control the line of scrimmage through the run, which helps you win games, right? But they have lost the emphasis on having actual pass rush specialists in there as well. The 2 times they've done it, Aleem and Hutch, they've hit big time on. They're the exceptions to the rule, but everybody else he's drafting is for run defense first and sod the pass rush. We'll try and develop it later. I think they've just gone too far in one direction, and now we're starting to see the effects of that. We don't have a legitimate, outstanding pass rusher outside of Hutch. The rest of them just defend the run well. And every time you hear about in draft circles, I love guys who can rush the passer and you're told, the Lions won't buy him, not kind of guy that they want. And I think it's a philosophical mistake. You need your run defensive guys, don't get me wrong, but you need pass rushers in there as well. We had James Houston. We forced him out of the building because we asked him to drop into coverage. We asked him to defend the run all the time. We didn't use his natural pass rush ability. And look, he's doing pretty well with the Cowboys at the moment. So for me, again, I'm never going to question what Brad does draft-wise. He does good stuff, but philosophically, he's got the wrong idea with his defensive lineman. We need pass rushers who have pass rush arsenals, are specialists at it, and can adapt to the run later to help balance this out.
I miss James Houston, man. He got me going in my head now. I love that guy. Anyways, let's talk about Thursday's game. We get it's a big one. Where do you think the Lions can really attack the Packers, both on offense and defense? Because if you can put up some points on the Packers, you probably got a real good shot at winning. The Packers offense, at least lately, has been a little bit limited.
I mean, we've seen what they can do to us. Offensively, you've got to find a way to silence that defensive line because it absolutely ruined us in that first game. And that starts with attacking down the field more. We are 32nd in the NFL in downfield passing, because we're just throwing screens, we're throwing checkdowns, we're throwing dump pass, we're just throwing these 2-3 yard quick passes to get the ball out of Jared Goff's hands. And defenses are just crashing down on it, and it's making life very difficult for us. The one thing we did against the Vikings, which the Vikings love to defend against, is they love to blitz, they're aggressive, they love to get in your face, tackles for loss, put you behind the chains. That's what the Packers did to us as well. You have got to open up a vertical passing game to take that defensive line out of the equation. If that means having less receivers on the field, rushing, having two guys running routes, etc., while you've got an extra tight end, a fullback in to help with the blocking, that's fine. You're paying two receivers the best part of $200 million.
Right.
Make them go earn it. J-Mo can get separation. Amon-Ra can get separation. Bring an extra tight end in. Bring a fullback in. Bring a running back in. Find a way to get at some of these pass rushes. Chip them. Do what other teams do to Hutch. And if you can do that and you can get a vertical passing game in here, you're going to get the Packers to back off, and then you're going to be able to do some work against them. The play calling is just way too negative. Way too negative. I think we took 7 shots past the sticks against the Giants. That was it. This is the Giants, man, who they had half their secondary out injured. They had a load of journeymen and stuff in there, and we took 7 shots past the sticks. That is absolutely disgusting. Yeah, you've got to find a way by hook or by crook to get some shots going downfield. Defensively, I mean, you've got to dominate the line. You've got to keep Josh Jacobs or Emmanuel Wilson, whoever it is, quiet. Jordan Love thrives when his run game is working for him and taking some of the pressure off him. And you've got to be disciplined with Jordan Love as well. You've got to be effective with your tackling. When you get hands on him, you've got to bring him down. Why the Giants lost against the Packers? Because Love was making plays out the pocket with his legs and extending plays and taking their main assets out the game. We cannot allow that to happen. So we've got to find a way to get to the QB, but you've got to stop his run game first and then force him into those situations. So that's what you've got to do both sides of the ball here. And most importantly, you've got to win, because you've got a brutal stretch coming up, and you're going to be 1-3 in the conference if you lose. You don't want that to happen. So, yeah, you've just got to go out there and give them everything you got.
And one of the biggest things going into these final 6 games, et cetera, of the season, of the regular season, all Lions fans want to know, what do you do with the offensive line? My opinion, that first half, they did not play well. Second half, I thought they played pretty well. But two of the people that everybody's going to bring up in conversation pieces are Graham Glasgow and then Yodi. Yodi, we all get it. He's filling in backup for Chris Mahogany. But going down the stretch here, do the Lions make any kind of adjustments? They rotate anybody in? I know some people in the comments section I see have said Miles Frazier. What do you do?
You take Graham out now. and you sorry, it all goes through your center. Your center dictates what happens on the rest of the line, especially the guards around him. And Graham's just not got it anymore. He doesn't have it. I'm sorry. He might be gritty. He might be toughing out an injury. Sorry, that was 2 years ago on this team. You could be gritty on this team 2 years ago and not quite be good enough because we weren't going for Super Bowls. You've got to be gritty and you've got to be good enough now. And quite frankly, he isn't. Try Colon. You've spent 18 months now training Kingsley Aguakan on the practice squad, and you've shown a lot of faith in him. You bring him up, and then you start working around that. But something's got to change with the center spot first and foremost over the guards, because having a better center in there, calming the line down, makes things better at the guard positions. Ratledge is doing wonderful. He is doing just fine. I saw someone yesterday say he was a bust this year, and I'm like, just jackass. You're again getting on a rookie's case earlier, so you can be the first one to say that he's done this. But left guard, I'm not sure. Frazier is not the answer. You are asking a 6th round rookie who has not had any preseason, who's not had any snaps whatsoever. He has not played a game of football in nearly 12 months now, and you're just asking him to come in and play football and be great right away. No, it's not going to happen. And people will go, oh, but Mahogany did. But Mahogany's a much better football player than Miles Frazier is. Mahogany was healthy. He fell in the draft for other reasons, which was stupid and should have been a much higher pick. Right. I think just inserting Frazier in there right away is not going to be the answer. Just like, Hassanin coming back is not going to be the answer. We've got to stop putting massive expectations on these rookies. Look at Tesla. Everyone blowing up Tesla in the preseason, and now people are starting to get at him. Where is he? What's he doing? That's unfair on Tesla. He has done nothing wrong apart from have people blow his expectations way out the water. And then when he doesn't meet them, people get upset. I don't want to see the same happen to Frazier. Frazier probably may as well redshirt, and then you get him right over the preseason, and then you get him into next year and you go there. I don't think you do anything with him. Stick with Awashika for now, but change your center position. That's the first thing you've got to do on this line. Change the center before it gets to the playoffs and it costs us.
Okay. I think you might not be wrong with that by any stretch of the imagination. We won't see you before the big turkey shootout game on Thursday. So if you got to give a score prediction right now, what do you got for the game?
I
mean, on the spot here.
It's going to be tough. I've barely had time to stop to digest the Giants game yet. These short weeks are crazy. I think we will win. I mean, I know it wasn't the most convincing performance on Sunday, but I think, sometimes those games are good for you. The games that you win, and there's a lot of mistakes in them because you can fix them. And I think it kind of gives the players a bit of a boot up the backside as well. Like, it's the first time Kelvin's really been found out as a coordinator. He got out-coached during that entire game. And he's a rookie coordinator. That is going to happen. So he's going to have learned a lot from that lesson. Obviously, they faced the Packers once already. Usually, we beat the Packers first, and then the Packers beat us back because they adjust to what we do. Hopefully, we can do similar to them. I think we'll win. I think it's going to be something like 24-17 Lions. I think it'll be a one-score game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout or anything like this, but I think that Giants game will have done us better in the long run because it will have been a wake-up call, even though it was a win, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But yeah, I think we'll win this one. I do. I think they'll find a way to adjust to what's happened.
Okay. All right, Anthony, I want to, as always, thank you for making a little time for the Duke crew. By the way, we were the first channel to ever jump out in front and promote the health healing benefits of Mountain Dew. So we can go back in a couple years.
I've got some here. I've not been drinking it. It's in my bag. I've just been shopping. I've got some in my bag. So I'll have a post-show due.
There we go. I like it. I like it indeed, my friend. Why don't you go ahead and give yourself a shout out to everybody where they can find you, support your content, and follow you on social media.
Yep, you can find me at Roar of the Lions UK. We're a group of Detroit Lions fans from across the pond. So if you want to come check me out, then we're live. We do shows on Mondays, reviewing. We do Thursday previews, usually for Sunday games, but we're doing them tonight. I talk college ball on Wednesdays. If you like college football, come chat with me then. And the guys are live during the games on Sundays as well. So there's plenty of opportunities to stop by and say hi. But yeah, you can find me at Roar of the Lions UK as always. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Duke crew. It's not something we celebrate over here, but happy Thanksgiving to everybody because I'll not see you again before that. I hope you all have a lovely time with your families, wherever you're going, whatever your plans are. Hopefully you get a Lions fan to go with it. But It's an important time of year for you guys, so I hope it goes well for everybody. Have fun, eat lots of turkey, and get fat, and hopefully we can laugh at the Packers in the process.
We'll take all of it. All right, Anthony, go have a great day. Enjoy that Mountain Dew, and we'll see you on the next one, my friend.
See you on the next one. Take care, all. Bye-bye.
We'll see you now, Anthony. All right, thank you, Anthony, for making some time out of your day. Let's get over to the Dew Crew comments section and see what you guys have to say. Mark, Chicago will lose to the Eagles. I think that's probably what most people are betting, unless you're outside of Chicago, or from Chicago, I should say. All right, so we're Johnny Gaz Sports. Good morning, Gaz. The Gaz man cometh. There you go. Robert Valenti is pretty funny, though. Not going to lie. We'll take that. Lauren Lyons. Good morning, Coach Dan, the Duke Crew. Exclamation point. Woke up with a back spasms just listening in today. Go Lions. Woo! Hopefully the back gets better for you, my friend. Free for all. You think Stafford didn't circle that game on his calendar? Oh, 100%, man. I mean, he's lost, the last 2 or 3, whatever it is, games to the Lions, to Goff. He wants some revenge, no doubt about it. And so do the Rams. Thomas Silvers, exclamation point. I get you, but riding that razor blade cuts deep and always the foolish, all right? And Professor Cutsteel, I am listening in the background. I felt the boss up ball out love. Hey, it happens, and we're glad to share it. So, those back panels are messing up a lot of people, including me. Back pain, sorry. Robert, injuries healing during the season as opposed to after it is over is nice. Yes, if we can get them healed up during the season, that'd be great. Eddie, that emergency practice was called for. I agree with it because the secondary laid a bunch of Easter eggs. Okay, but the part of it, I think, with the secondary, I know there's a lot of comments one or the other. I think you give a quarterback 3.5 seconds on average to throw. Just about any quarterback's going to roast a secondary, and that's unfortunate but true. Thomas, we really worried about Laporta. What head going through? I pray it's not Levi all over again. No, we'll find out in time, but MCDC said that the surgery went well, expected to make a full recovery in time. The Rebel, good morning, Coach Dan and Duke Crew. Back at you, free for all. A side dish of Thanksgiving will be a big bowl of grated cheese. Enjoy it, my friend. Eddie, good morning, my Lions fan friends. Back at you. Phil, God morning to good Phil. Silver Gibbs is getting 15 to 18 carries each game, same as he was getting with Monty started. Why not start Monty then? That's something only the coaching staff can answer. Myles Garrett has 18 sacks. Hutch has 7.5. I'll see myself out. Yeah, I would say this, though. I think Garrett does have some better complementary pieces when it comes to rushing the quarterback out there. So, and hey, say what you want about Myles Garrett. He's probably the best defensive end and has been for about 5 years in the NFL. Hutchinson may not be him, but that's not any kind of slight saying that Hutchinson isn't good. Hasim Medley, good morning, Professor Kurt Steele. Thomas, our biggest worry to me, the vast difference between our D and others. Their pass rush gets to Goff, ours dies not. All right, dies not indeed. Mike Hutchinson walks with a limp now. He ain't the same, maybe. Robert, Giants, if they had a good draft, we will be a team to watch for the next few seasons. Yeah, I think they're dang good. It just, unfortunately, whether it's, mental or whatever, they just blow leads in the fourth quarter. If you guys can think of a team that's blown 5 or I guess now 6 straight games in the NFL when you had a 10 or more point lead in the fourth quarter, man, that's brutal because they really could have, 6, 8 wins, and they don't because they blow leads. Southwest, anybody that's doubtful of Hutch, you're a crackhead. I'm not holding back. Before real, are you insane? I'm calling out all your BS. Okay, Thomas, Hutch is a very good defensive end. Great? No. Great is Myles Garrett, 18 sacks already. Hutch, I love the guy 100%, but way overpaid. Okay. Server, Thomas, it seems that way, doesn't it? We could use a Tracy Stroggins. I'll tell you that. Remember him? I do. And that was a great draft pick by the Lions back in the day. Not first round pick, but I want to say he was like a 3rd round pick. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was 2nd round. I see Manley, Professor Kurt Steele. Sorry, writing wrong. It happens with some prayers. Thomas, we should have dropped 2 first round draft picks and getting Garrett and pay him too. Revision of history now. Unfortunately, can't change it. Dr. Detroit, laughing out loud. Valenti is right. Exclamation point. Slappies just can't handle it. We're good. Thanks, Brad. Thomas Silver, love Stroggins, solid D lineman. He was indeed, man. He was. And he was a big dude, too. Of course, everybody's big compared to me on defensive lines. Let's see. Victor, what do you got? Hutchinson is above average, but not great or excellent or worth that type of money. Garrett has over twice as many sacks as Hutch. Now that is an example of a great defensive line. Yeah, everybody can have their own opinion. Mine, I don't really pay attention to the stats, just because a lot of it, like I know, I'll use this example when it comes to stats. Coaches have often said when it comes to like all-star, all-pro, stuff, they always try to throw out like teams I coach. I'm going to use basketball as an example here. Out the window because we play a different style. If you guys remember Loyola Marymount back in the 80s, 90s, the go offense, that's what we play. So like the teams I'll coach, it's not uncommon to have like 2 or 3 people averaging over 20 points, where other teams, because of their structure of their systems, they don't have that. And, the only thing I would say with Hutchinson, I think if he played on, just using this example, if he played on a team that had 1 or 2 other prominent pass rushers, he probably would have 12 or 15 sacks this year. But because he doesn't, how much does that impact the stats? So I just try to pay attention to the players. I understand why we pay attention to records or stats. You can't deny them. But I do think Hutchinson, I don't think he's Myles Garrett. I do think he's pretty good and would be vastly better if you invested more into the pass rush around him. Dr. Detroit, Hutch said he doesn't need help, laughing out loud. That's probably what he would say. I mean, you're a proud athlete, trying to support your team. Frames, what do you got? I call 10-6 and 11-5, exactly where I thought they would be. It's a tough schedule, and we knew this. Yeah, it is, 100%. No doubt about that. Mary Smith, need to know, does the draft go by the worst team first or the championship game goes first? So worst record gets number 1 pick. The second worst record gets number 2 pick, etc. Silver, agree with the English man. Keep Aleem in the middle. I wonder if they will. Brian, Anthony said it perfectly. Hutch has no help. Whose fault? Brad. I'll go with that. Thomas, Victor, 100%. Look, I love Hutch, exclamation, but he's a working man talent. Garrett has God-given abnormalities. Yeah, he's a freak of nature. He might as well have a cape and S on his chest. Brian, Brad said we're good. He did. Detroit Lions fans need to just get a grip on reality. All right. Surfer, Mary, this team with a worst record picks first. The team that wins Super Bowl picks last. Round after round. Agreed with that. Detroit, Brad let us down. That simple. Dude is arrogant and slappies. Don't question anything. All right. Egan, Ant-Man always impresses. Glad whenever he joins the show. Yeah, he does real good work, doesn't he? Southwest, we should have kept Zadarius Smith point blank, period. He was an idiot. Yeah, I was surprised we didn't when it happened. He did retire, as we all probably aware by now. So maybe that's why the Lions didn't. Maybe they're aware that he was, contemplating retirement. Server, Mary Smith, I just read where Valenti's head is. Okay. Bobo, the Z Boom retired. He did indeed. Dolo, it's all on Brad. Probably accurate at this point. Hookadoo, Southwest, I totally agree. Exclamation point. Server, get Ahmed Hassanin and wait on that end. Yeah, I guess the only thing we can say is if the coaches don't have them out there, they must not think that they're ready yet. Maybe in time they will, though. Southwest, he has no time to get the ball downfield against the Giants. No, Goff has not had a lot of time to throw deeper routes. It just, unfortunately, as we all get it, the offensive line, is probably pretty decent in the run blocking. Pass blocking is still not their strength. Eddie, what do you got? I think despite the issues on the offensive line, we still have, I think, a good offensive line. Okay, we still have a good offensive line indeed. Brad is not the greatest, says Dolo Dynamite. Hookadoo. I bet he had stayed in Detroit, Bo, he wouldn't have retired. That may be. Who knows? Hassan Manley, when Ahmed Hassani get ready, he will help Hutch for sure. I like the way you are thinking, my bold friend. Thomas, we are a 3-man team on Goff, St. Brown, Sonic. Any 3 get hurt, big trouble. Got to expand the I'll go with that. Riley O'Brien, Coach Dan, the Duke Crew, strong 100%, and back at you. It's way early where you are, my friend. Server. Zaboom didn't know what he wanted. He retired, and I think he was with the Eagles. Could have won championship. He didn't have. All right, Boboth. Brad Holmes got us winning. Blame him for losing, but you don't credit him for winning? Question mark. Now, not reference to what that man said. Just usual suspects. Okay. Kevin, what do you got? Greetings, salutations, Coach Dan and Duke Crew. Valenti wants a angry phone calls. That's probably accurate. Hookadoo, Mr. Hassanin, I can't wait for Ahmed Hassanin. Ahmed to get on the 53. Brian, anyone that loves Brad, just a ball. Okay, we'll go on from there. Thomas, Graham Glasgow out now. Who's ready for that experiment with 6 games to go? not good with that. I don't know if he's out. He just missed yesterday's practice because he's got, a reoccurring knee situation. Brian Glasgow could have been forced to retire with rags. Could be. Silver Thomas, I am ready. Put Colleen in. And by the way, where is Manu at? He's on the IR. It was something to do with his knee, if I'm not mistaken. Thomas, I called the lack of usage on Tesla. Exclamation point. Even I'm going to be wrong in a bad way. I said that at least he should get 20 catches. If he wasn't even get close, coaches are clueless how to use him. All right. Hassan Madley, Ahmed Hassani is so hungry, he is going to surprise everyone. I know my son. I like the way you're knowing. Bobos Ahmed could give us a spark. He'd be one of the more athletic big guys on the line for sure. Brian, I thought Minnesota game was a wake-up game. I thought Philly was a wake-up game. When is this going to stop? 5 years this house ain't built. Okay. Let's see. Matt, I love Laughing Out Loud by Anthony. Thomas Silver, understand wanting to replace Graham, but now huge risk. Manu wasn't going to be ready for the soonest next year. Me, I put Manu at defensive tackle, work on him on D. Okay. Silver, yes, Ahmed could do it. He is sparky. All right. Free for all. I think Glasgow's value right now is teaching Ratledge how to direct the offensive lines. Will be ready to take that spot next year. Yeah, maybe. Joseph, mad at your own expectations. Pat, can't wait to see him on the field. He's got that grit we like. Yes, he does. Robert, Chicago loses and we win. It's right back on top. All right. I like it. That would be a fair, accurate assessment of the situation, Robert. Let's see. FRC, we just have some things to clean up. Might be. That's some coach speak there. I know that deep in my heart, Mr. Hassani Ahmed is going to surprise everyone. He's going to come out and the gate swinging. He probably will be swinging. Let's see. Hookadoo. I like the way you are thinking, Ahmed. Yes, with a lion. FRC finally caught a live show. Exclamation point. Woo! Glad to have you here, my friend. Be a part of the new crew. Hookadoo at the SS. Thumbs up, Lions. Leo, if we get offense under control and get to the playoffs, we have a chance. Yeah, we get to the playoffs. I think we've got a good chance. Let's see, Brian. People love Hutch because he's a Michigan guy. I'm an MSU guy. Hutch is good not. All right, indeed. Brian, is Mike Valenti a New York fan? I think he's from New York, and he is a fan of the Giants. There you go. Brian, great. Silver. Everyone's saying Lions should have drafted Edge in the first 28th pick. We had the 28th pick, not 29th, if I'm not mistaken, at least. But look at the Giants' first round, the best of the pack. You forgot his name. What did he do Sunday? Nothing. All right. Mary Smith, have a great day, great and blessed day, Lions Talk Live crew. And see you all in the morning. We'll see you then, Queen. Have a phenomenal day. Riley, Lions Talk Live is always a W. Hey, we try to spell something right every once in a while. Brian, people are resigned from their stats. Okay. Michael, good morning, everyone. Exclamation point. Hey, Riley, indeed. Free for all. People complaining about how much Hutch is paid. If they don't pay him, that somebody else would have. Yeah, somebody else would have paid him that contract if we did not. Southwest Hutch looked gassed. We need somebody else to step in. Yeah, that's something I think most of us agree on. They give him a ton of snaps, a high percentage. By the end of the game, he was huffing and puffing for sure. Joseph, Hank Gathers, and Bo Kimball. Yeah, so for those who don't know, gosh, man, somewhere in the early 90s, I don't know, 92, 91, somewhere around there, I got to go work at a Denver, the Nuggets camp during the summer. Coach Paul Westphal was the head coach. I found out where he'd like to go, like a bar. I sat there all week, man. Eventually, I think day number 3, got him to talk to me and spent like the next 2 or 3 days after camps talking about X and O's. Just learned a ton from the dude. And when I coached basketball, at least, we're always running his systems. I just, fell in love with it, I guess you could say. But with nobody is Myles Garrett. Nobody was Reggie White either. That's fairly accurate. Servicer Detroit wants a defensive tackle plugger. Liam injured. Nobody gets out of my mind that they wanted Kenneth Grant. Could have got him Tyleek next best. They'll go with that. Okay, some of these fools just don't take into consideration Hutch is doubled and triple teamed. Yeah, he gets that a lot. Maybe because there's nobody else to pull the coverage away. Riley, hope you're doing well, both Hookadoo teams. Riley, Silver is strong. Let's see, yes, Hassani Malley, Mr. Pat, my 2 eating is seen, but give him a chance to see he's ready. And this is where Coach shopped and Coach Dan decide to know better. Go Lions. Oh, well said, my friend. Brian Slappy's definition, don't question brand. Bo Booth, thanks, Riley, living the life. Telehun, Zadarius stunk and is old. We'll try to get him a shower. Brian, definitely Southwest. Oh, Zadarius did retire. I forgot. It happens, man. It happens. Silver Server, Bo Booth. Nobody was Reggie White, and that's going into the Barry Sanders category. Joseph, I blame Brad for your expectations. Southwest, I think the offensive line communication is off. Physically, they can battle with anyone. All right. Ziggy and friends, good morning. Captain Dan and the Duke Crew stars. Big wins Sunday, go Lions. Hey, let's get that big win on Thursday even. Thomas got to get a twin fire Hutch. Let's see if we can do that in the offseason. Brian, hold up. We have won no championship, no Super Bowl. We have won championships, just not when they were called Super Bowls. Correct. I think we're still like number 12 or 10 as far as the NFL, as far as most championships ever won. As bad as we may have been in the Super Bowl or championship category the last 70 years, we're still in the top, whatever it is, 10 to 13 of franchises with the most championships. Hoodoo, happy trails, Duke Crew, all done, dusted worldwide. I smell rotten cheese. It happens. Joseph, got to guess a lot of fans can't remember times before Stafford. Might be. Thomas, our offensive line is lower, 4th in pass blocking in the league. Run. Got to run the ball 25, 30 times a game. Southwest, if Raymond is out, we need to get our rookie wide out on the offensive play calling. Yeah, maybe they will. Dr. Troy, I like Hasse, but can't depend on a rookie. We are in a place we need a stud now. I agree with that. But with happy trails, Duke Crew, all done dusted for another day. See you tomorrow. We'll see you then. Egon, this is the most anyone's year I've seen for in ever. Yeah, there's no overly dominant team. Maybe that's how I should word it, Egon. Good morning from Cynthia. Back at you. Brandon, well, he shouldn't be talking sports here then. Maybe true. Dr. Troy, the 3rd round picks for a luxury player we don't use it really stupid. I love Tesla, but I like pass protection way more. Take away profits. Man, talking about somebody I haven't seen on site. Hutch can't take no snaps off because nobody else is getting to the quarterback. That might be it. Lauren Lyon, happy trails. See y'all tomorrow. Exclamation point. Go Lions. One pride worldwide. Hookadoo, Cynthia, you're late. Good morning, young lady. Brian, Tesla, Hooker, Manu, and many more could have had some real nice pieces. Yeah, I mean, that's part of drafting. I don't know the team that gets them all right, so I don't think there is one out there. All right, guys, I got to get out of here, get ready for work, so I'm giving you 7 minutes of overtime. If there is breaking news later today, I'll get it over to you as soon as possible. If you would be so kind before departing, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit all the buttons. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Do something kind for somebody you don't know. Be a good human being, and we'll see you guys on the next Lions Talk Live. Have a great day, everybody.